and we head towards rivalry weekend, the rivalry game, Nike Rivalry Series. The Bills will be wearing those jerseys Sunday night next week, but a lot to get to on this game before we turn that page. 803-0550 is the number to call. Let's start us off with Walter in Toronto. Hi, Walter. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Sal. Thanks for your introduction. You kind of walked me back from the edge there because I've been happy. I mean, since Alan's come, like we have a winning product, and it's great to go to the games, and that's fantastic because I went through the drought like a lot of us did, and that was horrible. But we need a winner, Sal. We got to win a Super Bowl. I don't want Josh Allen to become like Dan Marino, So watching yesterday, I think we have a few holes we got to work on. They're good, but they got to be better. One is we got to do something about the run game, and we had a young back just seemingly run all over us yesterday. And then I'm a little worried about the secondary. I know you said this morning they said they wanted to get that guy in a bit, and White was out, but I think that was also reflective of White's play. He stepped it up after because he was a little shaky in the first half. And I just worry that we don't have a deep threat. We got the best arm in the league. And, man, I'd love to go down. I'd love to go downtown the way some of the other quarterbacks were slinging it yesterday. I was watching a lot of football. And the one time he went down, it gets intercepted. So I'm a little, that's number 3 on the pecking order about what to worry about is that we don't really have a deep threat. They said this morning, I listened to Joe, and they said, the Elijah Moore, if he's the fastest we got, and they're talking about Worthy. I don't know if you remember, I called way back and I said, why the Bills allowing KC to move up to pick up this guy? Fine, you don't want him, but don't help your rival, right? But anyways, that's for another day. But so what do you think of that?
Did you listen to Josh Allen after the game?
You know what? I'm in Canada, so it's hit and miss what I can get. Unfortunately, I can't get a lot of stuff. What did he say?
There were some throws down the field early, and one of my arrows down was going away from Keon Coleman. They had a couple big plays, and what Josh said was they made an adjustment. They went more of a too high, and they kept everything underneath. There were some plays downfield they tried early on, so you got to understand too, Walter. It's part of the game, right? The other team's making adjustments to take that away from you, and that's what he said. And he said, the pick happened, and they were making an adjustment. By the way, heck of a play by the safety on the pick right there. But it's not just I'm not saying your concern isn't valid about a deep threat, but it's also the way the game is played and teams taking things away, right? There's the other team gets scheming against you too.
True. I just think I just don't want to become like the way the Patriots were, like dink and dunk. And I know they won their share of Super Bowls, but it's like,
they weren't always dink and dunk. They threw down the field plenty with Tom Brady, but look, I mean, and they did. And a lot of times in his career, Brady took. Hey, that's a great example. Brady took what the defense gave him. So, okay, yep, we're one call in, and this is what I mean, right? And this is nothing wrong with this. Not a criticism of Walter when I say this. We are one call in. The Bills won by 12 points. They scored 31 points, and he had 3 points, and all were negative in criticism. And that's okay. But that's what I mean about today, right? Which is kind of crazy. All right, let's go to Colston and Wilson. Colton and Wilson. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Colton.
One thing I would like to say is that I know we didn't really have the best first half of what we were hoping to, but one thing I have always liked about this season so far, we are a very good fourth quarter team, and even with against the Dolphins in the.
I lost you there, Colton. Your cell cut out there. Yeah, the Bills were better as the game went on yesterday. They cleaned some things up. There's no doubt about that. They go into the fourth quarter. They were up 21-16. They give up a field goal, make it 21-19. Then they score a touchdown, a field goal themselves. And it was a much better end of the game than it was, I guess you'd say, start of the game for the Bills, and especially middle of the game, second quarter specifically. Neil in North Carolina. Hi, Neil.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Sal.
You got it.
2 questions, but the first thing I wanted to say is it seems to be that a lot of people are upset that they didn't kill him, that it was a close game. These are the games the past couple of years we actually thought we should win, and we lost. We won this game. We beat them. We beat them by 10 points or 12 points. It's a game that in the past we seemed to find a way to lose, that this time we won. The 2 questions I have, won.
I actually don't think that's true, though. They haven't really lost games to teams like that in the past. Anytime they've had teams they should beat, they beat them. They
Right.
Last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, like they crushed those teams. What I would say is they've lost some close games, and then they started to win a little bit more of that. But I don't agree that these are the kinds of teams they've lost against. That just hasn't happened other than maybe Jacksonville a few years ago.
I didn't mean the team. I meant those kind of games where everybody thinks we're going to win, we should win, and then it ends up being close and we lose.
Got you.
But the two questions I have for you. One, it seemed to be the first two drives they had were great. They were doing the passing, they were doing the running. Cook was running great, and then they went away from it. And I was a little bit surprised at that. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about is I looked at the past with Josh Palmer. He was a deep threat in college, and at times with the Chargers, he was a deep threat. Do you think it's just getting him really settled in to the offense and he could be that one, or am I just...
No, I think that it's just part of the fact that the Bills use all of their weapons, all of their guys at their disposal. They don't have one guy they have that gets the share. This is what everybody eats means, right? I mean, he is a guy that can get down the field a little bit. We just talked about with the last caller, which is the other teams doing some things too. I don't know. I'd love to see one guy, one game where we have one guy get 150 yards and we all say, there it is, that's the guy, right? I mean, but I don't know if that's going to happen, to be quite honest with you, Neil. It might be a lot to ask. When you say went away from it, what do you mean? What did they go away from? Because I'll just say, I just think the execution was poor because they didn't really do anything different other than maybe not throw the ball as deep because like Josh said, they were taking that away, but they were still running James Cook. And like if you go to the third drive, he had -1 yard on a play, and then Josh Allen throws deep incomplete, and then deep intercepted. And then they go to the next one. Cook runs for 4 yards, and then they have a 8-yard gain, and then an incomplete pass. They were shooting themselves in the foot by not doing anything in the second quarter.
You're right. He just looked so awesome. I mean,
he was in the second half. James Cook was. James Cook is amazing, by the way. He is really amazing. If there's a guy on this team that you could say, man, the Bills would not be 4-0 without this guy, of course it's Josh Allen, but James Cook is number 2 on that list without a doubt. Billy in Toronto. Hi, Billy. You're on WGR.
Hey, Sal. Yeah, listen, just like last week's call, I haven't got a worry in the world. Not one. The only thing I'm disappointed in is that Kansas City beat Baltimore, because if they hadn't, we'd have a 3-game lead on both of them. That's all I'm worried about. And, if we have that one loss and Kansas City wins, they're 1 game behind us. So that's the only thing. These games, Sal, are so predictable. If we were supposed to win this game by 50, then why didn't Las Vegas have the line at 40 or 45? Look, these games happen all the time. These guys are human. They look at the schedule. They know they don't see Baltimore and KC. They see weaker teams, and I'm not saying they mail it in, but they do see these kind of games. I have one worry about this team. One worry, and that's it. And that's if our big guy gets hurt. If he gets hurt, goodbye season. If he doesn't, we win the Super Bowl. Simple as that. That's it, Sal.
Yeah, I mean, every team who has an elite quarterback probably has that same thought and worry. It shouldn't worry you other than, hey, I mean, if it happens, it would really suck, obviously. But let's not even go down that road. But every team who has an elite quarterback, that's what it is, right? Got to keep 17 healthy, no doubt. It is funny. He's like, I don't have a worry in the world, except for 2 things. It's all good, man. Thanks, Billy. Lino in Ontario. Lots of calls coming north of the border today. What's up, Lino?
Sal, good morning. It's always a pleasure listening and obviously a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, buddy.
The win, you know what? A win is a win. My dad always said, good teams always find a way to win. It doesn't matter how you do it as long as you do it.
Didn't we sit here all last year watching Kansas City win and go, oh, my God, how did they win again? This is ridiculous. They're so lucky. Yeah. But, it took them all the way to the Super Bowl. They lost that game, but it did take them all the way there.
Yeah, they did. And, I mean, they're doing just enough to win when they have to win. And I'm sure it's like any other sport. You're playing a division rival, and I know you have to treat everybody fair and equitable, but let's face it, you're playing a weaker team, and you tend to sort of play a little bit less. You play a stronger team, and you sort of rise to the occasion. Now, I'm not saying that New Orleans is a weaker team, but
Well, they are. They are. They are with their record. That's for sure. Yeah, and they have a young. I get it. I get it. You know, it's funny. It's a good point. You know, and I like to say it this way. And I don't know if it's intentional where you, and you could say you rise to the occasion. I do think the competitive nature is true. But I always like to say, I have a saying, every game has its own DNA. When people say to me, well, you can't play like that against the Chiefs and win, I'm like, well, they didn't play the Chiefs. They played the Saints. You'll have a different game plan against the Chiefs, right? And I think that's what you're saying, which is every team is different in how you have to approach the game and the game plan.
That's correct. That's exactly what I'm saying. And yesterday's game plan for the team that we played was sufficient enough to win. Now, if we go up again, look at Baltimore. I mean, my God, half the stadium emptied out. And I was one of the ones who called and said, yeah, I'll eat crow for that. But, hey, we came back. So it's not as if we can't do it. We can. It's just, you know, you don't want to kill yourself. Maybe I'm not saying this right, but I understand. Like, a win is a win. And even though this team may not have been a superior team, we still put up 30 points, and we get 30 points up against 40 points up against a better team. So I'm not worried. But like the previous caller said, as long as Josh Allen stays healthy, we have got an incredible shot.
You got it, Lino. Thanks, buddy. I got to get running. Good call. And what did Coach Parcells say? Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. Because when you say that team's actually better than their record, that team isn't as good as their record. You are what your record says you are. But certainly you can look at a game within the game and say, that's not good enough how we want to play to our standard. It doesn't have to be just if we played this other team, it wouldn't be good enough. It's how you want to compare yourself to you. Let's go to Rob in Connecticut. What's up, Rob?
Good morning, Sal.
Good morning.
First off, thanks for always being my eyes, and I definitely missed you guys all week. Last week I was in North Carolina. My father passed away. Full military service. I got the folded flag. It was an honor. But I definitely missed you guys, listening to you.
That was your father? I'm sorry, your father, you said?
Yeah, my father passed away. He was in the Navy.
Well, thank you. Thanks to him for his great service to this country, and our condolences here to you and your family.
Thank you very much. So yesterday I was on the road following the game, and I didn't worry about us losing at all. And one of the things you always stress is it's embedded in my head now. Every game has its DNA, and I never, ever look forward, oh, well, we can't do that against that team or this team. We won. It's 31-19. We did our job. And as far as the defense, I'm very, very excited to see what our defense is going to look like later on, because once they start gelling, because Bobby Babich knows what he's doing. He's working, he's utilizing what he has, and he's moving guys around. So let's see what happens in the future, but a game at a time. And we're 4-0. Be happy. Yeah. Don't have that rich people's problems. That's what it is. We're spoiled as Bills fans. Just enjoy the win. That's all you got to do. But every game has its DNA.
That's right.
That's what
I love it. I'm glad I brought that in. I brought that into your world, and you remember it. Thanks, Rob. Again, our condolences to you and your family, buddy.
You.
Yeah, you got it, no doubt. The Bills' defense overall actually had a pretty good day numbers-wise. I know you don't want to hear it, right? But I'm going to tell you anyway. I mean, they gave up 19 points. Anytime you allow less than 20 in the NFL, it's pretty good. But even beyond that, the Saints had less than 300 yards of offense, 298. The Saints had 4.6 yards of play. That's a pretty low number. I mean, the Saints went 5 of 13 on third down, 38.5%. Now, they converted 2 of their first 4, and you're like, here we go again. And then after that, the Bills kind of shut them down. So numbers-wise, Bills did a pretty good job against the Saints' defense. But, yeah, you look at that big, large rushing yardage total, and you don't feel good about it. I get it. Let's go to Jerry in Kenmore. Hi, Jerry.
Hey, real quickly on the Bills, and then I have 2 other comments that are slightly off subject, is we need to relax. I mean, the Giants beat the Chargers yesterday. The night game, the best offensive player for the Cowboys was out. Their best defensive player was actually playing for the other team, and the game tied. It's the NFL. Everybody gets paid. We need to relax on these games. The other thing is, in week 7, this defense is going to look totally different, not just with the addition of players, but with the changed rotation. How will Bosa be on 30 snaps and not 50 snaps? It's going to change, okay? Everybody needs to relax. My 2 other comments, one is a baseball. I think the Reds are going to beat the Dodgers, and I'll tell you why. Hunter Green is the best pitcher in baseball, and then it might be the best pitcher in the National League, and he's pitching game 1. So all the Reds have to do is steal one of the next 2 games if they win that game. I think that's a value bet. The second thing is I'm fully convinced that Lamar Jackson is hurt because he never takes himself out of a game where he can pad his MVP stats. It was classic fourth quarter, throw for 2 touchdowns in a meaningless time and raise your numbers.
Okay,
I think he's definitely hurt.
Thank you. Did not think we'd have some NL baseball playoff talk today on a Buffalo Football Monday, but that's okay. We're here for you, Jerry. How about the Mets missing the playoffs? That's crazy. Have we checked in on Howard Simon today? Is he doing okay? Has anybody checked in on Howard Simon today? Is he doing okay? I'm not really sure. Might have to do that. I don't know. You might be right that he's been playing hurt. I don't know. He did get pulled with a hamstring injury yesterday. Lamar, that is. I'm not about to tell you, he just padded his stats. That dude's a great player. He gets great stats because he's a great player. We'll take a timeout here on the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. Great show, great start. Hey, did not say hi to the bullpen today. Hi, bullpen. What's going on? I see you there. Got Kelvin, got AC, got Mauricio, got Tony. Who am I missing here? I'm Sabbath, Pancakes. Everybody's in it. The crew is here today. So thank you all very much. What is the bullpen? Sounds like people are like, what's the bullpen? What baseball playoffs? The bullpen, Yankee Stadium? No. That's the chat box on YouTube. Go there, WGR 550 YouTube page. Go over there, say hi. We got a lot of great discussion in there, and I appreciate that. Appreciate you coming aboard. I can't really respond while we're doing that because I'm doing the radio show, and that's because you're calling. 803-0550, the number to call here on the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show on a Buffalo Football Victory Monday.